Properly structured cash value life insurance policy will absolutely knock the socks off your 401k for retirement income. There's a lot of people out there who want to bash cash value life insurance because they're following this method that Wall Street has taught them. But I'm going to use financial education and good old math to show you why they're wrong and why you may want to consider putting your money into cash value life insurance. You ready? Let's do this. All right, guys, you see on your screen right now a kind of a T chart that we're going to use to compare traditional retirement plans versus cash value life insurance. So on the left, and we're just going to jump right into this 401k IRA plan. We're going to jump in and look at some of these assumptions that we're doing here. Okay. So for example, first thing that we're going to do is the accumulation phase. This is a gentleman who's 40 years old. We're looking at a 25-year period that we're going to save and invest money. He's putting his money into a pre-tax 401k because that's what everybody has been told is a good idea. Take a tax deduction, get that tax savings right now. That way you can invest even more every year. So we're actually able to put $750,000 into our retirement plan, and we're going to invest it in the market. Now, I'm going to assume that you're not an emotional investor, that you're not making mistakes with your portfolio. And let's assume that after all of the management fees from the 401k, mutual fund fees, ETFs, things of that nature, let's assume that you get an 8% true rate of return net after all your fees. So how much are you going to have in retirement? Compound interest calculator. We're saving for 25 years, 8%, $2,500 a month. Look at that number. You'd be a multimillionaire, almost $2.2 million. Let's see a life insurance policy try to do that, right? Let's take a look at it. So looking at the cash flow insurance, we're again, same thing. We have a 25-year accumulation phase. We're going to take a look at what are we going to get here? We can't invest as much money or save as much money every year, right? Because we're paying the income tax right now and putting after-tax dollars into this plan. So we actually have to put in less every year. So we can only put $25,000 into this policy for a total of $625,000 of contribution, right? We're putting this into a max funded IUL with an A+ rated insurance company that I like. I use a lot for my clients. So let's take a look here at some of the numbers. We're looking at just a very basic S&P 500 index with a 9.5% cap, and we're going to show a 5.9% index average. And we got to include the cost of insurance, right? Because all the detractors of life insurance say that these policies are so expensive and fees. Well, let's factor that in there. So this is going to be a 4.7% internal rate of return, which means true returns net after all of the fees. So where are we going to wind up there? And unfortunately, this is an actual screenshot from an NAIC, that's like regulators, an NAIC approved illustration. Unfortunately, it was on 2 pages, so I kind of had a screenshot in between 2 pages and blocked off the company's name. But you can see at the bottom there, the end of the 25th year, he's now 65. That's going to be his last annual premium, $25,000. You're going to see that net cash surrender is just under 1.2 million. The surrender value internal rate of return on average is 4.67%. So we want to come back and look at this. And I think our discussion's over, right? In the 401k, we've got 2.2 million. In the cash value life insurance, we've only got 1.2 million. You've got $1 million more in your 401k. Why is this even a discussion, Ron? Well, it's a discussion because when you end the accumulation phase of your life and transition into the distribution phase of your life, the rules of the game change, and they change completely. Let's take a look at what that means. Now, this stock market that treated you hopefully so well during the last 25 years, again, hopefully you didn't make bad decisions based on market crashes and based on emotion. Hopefully you continue to save and invest. And some of those large drawdowns, you continue to invest and buy stocks during that time. And so you bought stocks when they were on sale and you bought stocks when they were low. That's called dollar cost averaging, which can help your long-term average over time. But in retirement, it's the reverse, right? Because now you're not a saver, you're not an investor, Now you're selling stocks and pulling them out for income. So dollar cost averaging works in reverse. It's called dollar lost ravaging. And so when you're taking money out of a managed money portfolio, you have to be very careful to pace yourself that you're not withdrawing too much of your portfolio, especially during the down markets. So what percentage of our portfolio can we withdraw every year and be safe so that these market crashes won't crash our portfolio and force us to run out of money? Thankfully, the investment teams and the researchers and economists and professors, they've already done all this research for you, and the numbers on your screen right now. So you can see the Morningstar safe withdrawal rate is 4%. And this is an established rule in financial services. It's like this golden rule. It's been around since 1994. So this has been a golden rule in financial services for 30 years, that through all the ups and downs of the market, while you're taking money out of a portfolio, if you pace yourself with 4%, at least based on past history, you should be okay. So what is that going to mean for your retirement distribution phase with your 401k or IRA? You certainly have a much larger net worth. You've got 2.2 million. But when we're pacing ourselves at the 4% safe withdrawal rate, that means we're going to gross about $87,800 per year. But we haven't paid any income tax on that money yet. We got to pull that money out right now. We have to pay the income tax. Now, who knows what tax rates are going to be in the future? I mean, our country's 35 trillion in debt. Social Security is broke. Medicare is broke. We have a public pension crisis where our pension systems are underfunded to the tune of tens of trillions of dollars. Hell, we've got cities and states on the verge of bankruptcy. So how are they going to fix those problems? They're probably going to have to raise taxes in the future. But I'm not going to try to put that into this consideration or into this calculation, right? In fact, if you were a single person withdrawing $87,727 under current tax rates, this is March of 2024, under current tax rates, you'd be in 22% bracket. I'm not even going to use 22% bracket. I'm just going to use the 10% federal income tax bracket. So we're going to subtract out 10% for your federal income tax. Depending on what state you're in, I mean, maybe if you're in California or New York, maybe you're close to double digits. I'm not going to do that either. Here in Michigan, it's 4.25%. I'm just going to round it up to 5 to keep the math easy. So we're going to factor in a 5% state income tax. So your net income is just a hair under $75,000 per year, or about $6,200 per month. Now, how is that going to compare to the cash flow insurance plan? Let's look at the distribution phase of this, because this is where cash value life insurance really shines. Why? Because there's absolutely no stock market risk on the asset, which means those market crashes like you saw in the .com or in the financial crisis, the IUL doesn't lose any principal due to that market downturn, which means on that 1.2 million, we can take a much larger safe distribution rate. That distribution rate is damn near 10%. Let's take a look at it. This is the second page of that NAIC approved illustration. You can see the net cash surrender value, the surrender value internal rate of return. The insurance company is able to give you $115,000 each and every year for your retirement. And you can see, you look down that left-hand column right there, you can see that this income is projected to go for 30 years and onward, all the way down to your age 95. So let's get back to our spreadsheet and let's compare here, guys. The distribution rate, again, 9.6%, giving you $115,000 of cash flow. How does that compare on the left-hand side to the $87,000 that you're getting from your IRA? Oh, and guess what else? With life insurance, it's the world's greatest tax shelter. So no matter how much money but this guy's pulling out 6 figures a year. His federal income tax bracket is 0. His state income tax bracket is 0. So when these life insurance policies are properly funded and properly accessed, you pay absolutely 0 income tax on these distributions. So his net income is that same $115,000 per year, which is $9,600 a month. What would you rather have? $9,600 a month or $6,200 a month? You tell me, right? How about some hidden costs with your IRA that you're probably not even thinking of? What if you don't get that 8% return? What if you don't? Most people underperform the market because they make emotional investing decisions during times of volatility and turbulence. I think I'm being very generous by saying that you're averaging an 8% net rate of return. Number 2, what if taxes are higher in 25 years? Former Comptroller General David Walker, who served basically as the CPA of the USA, he was the head of the U.S. Government Accountability Office. He knows the inner workings of our government, and he says that starting in 2030, the United States is going to have to start raising their income tax rates to where they are double of what they are today. So you look at those federal income tax brackets I have there, 10% federal, 5% state. There's no guarantee that we're going to be in a low tax bracket 25 years from now. You might, if David Walker's right, you might be paying 30% taxes on that money as you take it out. Here's this. At $87,000, you're going to trigger the top level of the provisional income calculation, which means that 85% of your Social Security benefits are going to become taxable. And there's a possible Medicare surcharge tax with IRMAA where they can increase your Medicare premium. So it's not just about your net worth. It's not just about your average rate of return. It's about the distribution mechanism. How are those distributions treated by the tax code? And how are those distributions going to affect your other government retirement benefits like Social Security and Medicare? Let's look at some of the additional benefits with cash value life insurance. There's absolutely no risk of losing your money due to a stock market crash. As you draw that money out, no matter how big you've built that account, again, this guy's taking six figures, exempt from federal income tax, exempt from state income tax. If you live in a local or municipality that has a local income tax, you don't pay tax on that either. You literally do not have to file distributions as you draw out that cash flow because of how the tax code treats life insurance. So what does that mean? It doesn't go into the provisional income calculation. So your Social Security benefits remain tax-free. There's no Medicare premium offset because that doesn't count for IRMAA. And guess what else? You could actually qualify for welfare. And I mean that literally: food stamps, Obamacare, government cell phones, all the government cheese, because you're bringing in six figures, but on paper, you're dirt poor and you're broke and you show no income. So you tell me, what would you rather have? Higher income with the cash value life insurance or lower income with your IRAs and 401ks? Would you rather have no market risk with your cash value life insurance, or would you rather have a lot of market risk and risk losing 50% of your money in the next downturn? Would you rather have your Social Security benefits tax-free, or would you rather pay tax on your Social Security benefits? And here's another thing that we haven't talked about at all, and I'm just going to add this in real briefly now that we're at the end here. As you're putting money into your 401k over time, that money is locked up for retirement. You put that money away and you can't touch it unless you have some kind of hardship, or you got to pay a 10% penalty, right? You could borrow against your 401k, but the max loan is $50,000. Not all companies allow it. And then when you take the loan, you got to pay it back on their terms, on their time, right? With cash value life insurance, this guy here is building up to well over $1 million in cash value. He can access that money well before 59 and a half years old with absolutely no penalties. I have clients that do this all the time, borrow against their policies to fund business opportunities, real estate, flipping houses, vending machines. They buy boats and kind of Airbnb boat. I've got so many stories of clients that store their cash in life insurance and kind of funding their own personal pension tax-free for later. But as the equity in this pension plan builds up, they access this equity and make really smart investment and business decisions to bring additional wealth into their life right now. So again, I'm showing somebody here who is putting in $25,000 a year. But when you see all these benefits, I think you can understand. Now you know why I've got so many wealthy people putting in six figures a year into these cash value insurance plans, because of all these amazing benefits. Now, as I say that, you might be watching this video and you might not be anywhere near where you can put that kind of value into a policy. But, sometimes we help people get started with policies that are, $300, $400, $500 a month. It really just kind of depends on the situation. But guys, this is the real deal. This is the math. I've shown you the financial education. I've shown you the retirement planning fundamentals and principles. I've shown you regulator approved NAIC illustrations as far as how these insurance policies work. And now you know the real truth, how life insurance can absolutely demolish your 401k, not just for retirement income, but also for the safety and the liquidity throughout your working years as well. Now, if you want to visit with me to learn more about this, set yourself up a complimentary consultation. Now, depending on what platform you're watching this, there's a link to my calendar. It may be in the comments down below. It may be in the video description. But what you want to do is you want to access my calendar, and you're able to just look at all the availability that I have over the next week or two. You're able to book your own appointment. You pick the day and time that works best for you. You schedule the appointment. Once you do, it's going to send you a calendar invite, and it's going to send you the Zoom link, and we'll see you then. In the first meeting, we don't sign you up for a policy and try to sell you anything. The first meeting, we're just learning about you and your situation and your goals and how much money you want to put into the policy. And then we'll set up a second meeting for a week or two later. And in the interim, I'm going to custom design your policy to make sure it's properly structured for maximum cash value. And then I'm going to shop it around to the different insurance companies that we work with to make sure we have the absolute best fit for you. So guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope that it was helpful. And I hope now that you begin to see why financially savvy people are putting so much of their hard-earned dollars into these policies. It's a way for you to grow your wealth completely off the radar of the IRS for income tax purposes, to create that tax-free wealth. Thanks again, guys, and I look forward to visiting with you. Take care.